35,000 feet in the air, a storm erupts. For Kemi, this flight isn't about reaching her destination. It's about surviving love, fear, and the truth. This is Kemi. She thought she was going to marry the man of her dreams. But at 35,000 feet above Lagos, she discovered her heart was about to break before her body hit the ground. The plane shook like an angry giant. Passengers screamed as their bodies slammed against seats. Oxygen masks dropped like dead snakes from the ceiling. Kemi grabbed her seat with white knuckles. Her fiancé Tilda Copyright Tund sat beside her, his face pale as chalk. They had just spent 3 days in London planning their wedding. The aircraft dropped suddenly. A woman behind them vomited. A man started praying loudly in Yoruba. "Oloran, save us." But what Kemi heard next made her forget about dying. Tund pulled out his phone with shaking hands. His fingers moved across the screen like lightning. "I love you," he whispered into the phone. His voice was soft and desperate. "I love you so much." Kemi's world stopped. The plane was falling. People were screaming. But all she could hear was her fiancé Tilda Copyright saying those words to someone else. Her heart cracked like broken glass. She stared at him, but he wasn't looking at her. His eyes were closed, holding that phone like it was his lifeline. The moral of betrayal was already writing itself in her mind. But what happened next would change everything she thought she knew about love and trust. Kemi's hands started shaking, not from the turbulence, from rage and heartbreak fighting in her chest like two wild animals. She tried to see his phone screen, but Tund turned away from her, protecting his secret. His lips moved silently, like he was rehearsing words for another woman. The plane tilted left. Luggage fell from overhead bins. A baby cried somewhere behind them. But Kemi only focused on one sound: a circumflex euros, Tund's whispered conversation. "Please forgive me," he said into the phone. "I should have told you sooner." Kemi wanted to scream. She wanted to grab that phone and throw it down the aisle. Instead, she sat there like a statue, listening to her world crumble. An old man across the aisle was holding his wife's hand. They looked at each other with pure love, facing death together. That should have been her and Tund. But her fiancé Tilda Copyright was using their last moments to confess love to another woman. 3 years of dating, 6 months of engagement, all lies. She remembered the late nights he said he was working, the phone calls he took in the bathroom, the way he sometimes looked guilty when she surprised him with dinner. The signs were always there. She was just too blind to see them. The plane shuddered again. The captain's voice came over the intercom, but his words were lost in static. Whatever he said, it didn't sound good. Tund finished his call and put the phone in his pocket. He reached for Kemi's hand, but she pulled away like he was fire. "Don't touch me," she whispered. Her voice was colder than the air outside the plane. He looked confused. "Kemi, what's wrong? We need to hold each other. The plania euros." "I heard you." She stared straight ahead. "I heard everything you said to her." His face went white, not from fear of crashing, from fear of being caught. The turbulence got worse. A flight attendant fell down while trying to walk. Her trolley rolled down the aisle, spilling drinks everywhere. "Kemi, let me explain a euros." "Explain what?" She turned to face him, tears mixed with anger in her eyes. "Explain how you've been cheating on me. Explain how you chose our last moments alive to tell another woman you love her." Other passengers were too scared to notice their fight. Everyone was focused on surviving, except Kemi. She was focused on the man who had just destroyed her heart. "Who is she?" Kemi demanded. "Is it Bolus from your office, or that girl from university who keeps liking your photos?" Tund opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked like a man drowning in his own lies. The plane hit another air pocket. This time it felt like they were falling for real. People started praying louder. Someone was crying hysterically. But Kemi felt nothing except emptiness. If they were going to die, at least she knew the truth about the man she almost married. The oxygen mask dangled in front of Kemi's face. She put it on but couldn't breathe properly, not because of the thin air, because of the pain crushing her chest. Tund kept trying to explain, but she refused to listen. Each word felt like another betrayal, another lie wrapped in desperation. Around them, passengers were having their own final moments. A young mother was singing to her baby. An elderly man was writing something on a napkin with a shaking hand. Everyone was saying goodbye to people they loved, except Kemi had no one left to say goodbye to. Please, Tund begged. You don't understand what that call was about. I understand perfectly, she snapped. You're a cheater, and I'm an idiot for trusting you. She thought about their wedding plans, the white dress hanging in her closet back in Lagos, the invitations they had already sent out, her parents who loved Tund like their own son. All of it was built on lies. The plane suddenly leveled out. The shaking stopped. Passengers looked around confused, like they couldn't believe they were still alive. But Kemi felt dead inside. Survival meant nothing when your heart was already buried. The captain's voice came over the intercom again. This time his words were clear. Ladies and gentlemen, we've cleared the storm. We're beginning our descent into Lagos. People started clapping and crying with relief. Strangers hugged each other. But Kemi just sat there, staring at the man she thought she knew. What happened next would either heal her broken heart or destroy it completely. The plane touched down in Lagos with a gentle bump. Passengers cheered like they had won the lottery. Some were still crying. Others were laughing with relief. Kemi unbuckled her seatbelt in silence. She wanted to get off this plane and away from Tund as fast as possible. Wait, Tund said, grabbing her arm gently. Please don't leave like this. She looked at his hand on her arm. 3 days ago, that touch made her feel safe. Now it made her sick. Let go of me, she said quietly. But something in his voice made her pause. He sounded different, not guilty, not desperate, just sad. The other passengers were standing up, grabbing their bags from overhead bins. Normal life was resuming, but nothing felt normal for Kemi. I know what you think you heard, Tund said, but you're wrong. I'm wrong, she laughed bitterly. I heard you tell another woman you love her. I heard you ask for forgiveness. What else is there to understand? An old woman in the seat behind them leaned forward. Young man, whatever you did, fix it fast. Life is too short and love is too precious. The woman's words hit Kemi like a slap. Here was a stranger who had just faced death with them, talking about love and forgiveness. But some betrayals were too big to forgive. Tund pulled out his phone. His hands were still shaking, but not from fear anymore, from something else. Look at this, he said, showing her the screen. Look at who I was talking to. Kemi looked at the phone screen. Her heart stopped. The last call wasn't to another woman. It was to a voicemail service. The contact name read, "For Kemi, emergency message." She stared at the phone like it was speaking a foreign language. I don't understand. I created this voicemail account last year, Tund said softly. After my cousin died in that car accident, I realized that if something happened to me, I might not get a chance to tell you everything I need to say. Other passengers were moving past them toward the exit. But Kemi couldn't move. She was frozen, trying to process what this meant. You were recording a message for me. I record one every few months, he nodded. Just in case. But I've never played them back for you because I never wanted to think about dying and leaving you alone. She felt dizzy. The anger that had been burning in her chest suddenly turned to confusion. But you said you should have told someone sooner. You said, please forgive me. Tund's eyes filled with tears. I was asking you to forgive me for not being a better man, for not telling you every day how much you mean to me, for taking our time together for granted. A flight attendant approached them. Sir, ma'am, we need you to exit the aircraft. But Kemi couldn't move. Her world was turning upside down again. But this time, it felt like finding solid ground after falling through clouds. The moral lesson was rewriting itself in her mind, but she wasn't ready for the full truth yet. They sat in the airport waiting area. Tund held his phone between them like an offering. Do you want to hear it? He asked. Kemi nodded, though she was scared of what she might hear, scared of how wrong she had been. He pressed play. His voice came through the phone speaker, shaky from the turbulence but clear. Kemi, if you're hearing this, it means I'm gone and you're still here. I love you more than air, more than water, more than life itself. You are my sunrise and my sunset. Kemi's eyes filled with tears. This wasn't a confession to another woman. This was a love letter from beyond the grave. I'm sorry I never told you enough when I was alive. I'm sorry I worked too many late nights. I'm sorry I sometimes forgot to kiss you goodbye in the morning. She looked at Tund sitting beside her. He was watching her face, waiting for her reaction. The recorded voice continued. I want you to know that in every moment we shared, you were the only woman in my heart. If I die today, please don't think it was because I was running from you. I was running toward forever with you. Kemi started crying, not from heartbreak this time, from shame and relief mixed together like oil and water. There's more, Tund said softly, but she had heard enough to know the truth. She had almost lost the man she loved because she didn't trust the love they shared. Around them, other passengers were hugging their families who had come to pick them up. Everyone was celebrating being alive. "I thought euros," Kemi started, then stopped. "How do you apologize for believing the worst about someone who loves you?" "I know what you thought," Tund said, "and I don't blame you. If I heard my partner whispering to someone else while we were about to die, I would think the same thing." They sat in silence for a moment. Airport announcements echoed around them. People rushed past with their luggage, hurrying back to their normal lives. "But why didn't you tell me about these recordings?" Kemi asked. Tund smiled sadly. "Because I didn't want you to think about me dying. I wanted to protect you from that fear. So instead, I thought you were cheating. I never thought about how it would look," he admitted. "I just wanted to make sure that if something happened, you would know the truth about my heart." An elderly man walking past them stumbled slightly. Tund jumped up to help him. The old man thanked him in Igbo, then looked at Kemi. "This one is a good man," the stranger said to her in English. "Don't let pride destroy what love built." After the man walked away, Kemi felt even smaller. A complete stranger could see what she had been blind to. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't trust you." "You had every reason to be suspicious," Tund said, sitting back down. "But you also had 3 years of reasons to trust me." The truth hit her like lightning. Fear makes people forget love. Suspicion makes people forget faith. "How many messages are there?" Kemi asked. Tund scrolled through his phone. 12, one from our first month dating, one from when I met your parents, one from the day I bought your engagement ring. She realized he had been protecting their love in ways she never knew. While she worried about small things, he was preparing for the biggest thing of all. Can I hear another one?" He selected a message from 6 months ago. His voice came through the speaker, recorded in their bedroom while she was sleeping. "Kemi is lying next to me right now. She's wearing that old t-shirt she loves, the one with a hole near the shoulder. Her hair is spread across the pillow like a crown. I watch her sleep sometimes and wonder how I got so lucky." Kemi touched her face. She was wearing that same t-shirt under her travel clothes. "I want to marry this woman," the recording continued. "Not because she's beautiful, though she is. Not because she makes me laugh, though she does. I want to marry her because when I think about forever, I can only see it with her." She looked at Tund. "You recorded this the night before you proposed," he nodded. "I was so nervous, I thought you might say no." "Why would I say no?" "Because I'm not perfect, because I work too much, because I forget to take out the trash, because I don't deserve someone like you." Around them, the airport was getting busy with evening travelers, but they sat in their own bubble of truth and reconciliation. "You're right," Kemi said. "You're not perfect, but neither am I. I just proved that by not trusting you when it mattered most." Tund reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. It was her engagement ring. She hadn't even noticed he was carrying it. "I took this off your finger when you fell asleep on the plane," he said. "I was going to leave it with the message, so if we crashed, people would know we were supposed to be married." Kemi stared at the ring. It was a simple gold band with a small diamond, nothing fancy, but it represented everything they had built together. "I also wanted to make sure that if we died, you wouldn't be buried as just my girlfriend. You would be buried as my fiancée tilde copyright E, my almost wife." She started crying again. "Even facing death, you were trying to protect me." "That's what love does," he said simply. "It protects, it provides, it plans for the worst and hopes for the best." A young couple walked past them, arguing loudly about missed flights and ruined plans. Their voices were sharp and angry, full of blame and frustration. Kemi watched them and saw herself from an hour ago, quick to anger, slow to understand, ready to destroy rather than trying to build. "I almost lost you today," she whispered. "We almost lost each other," Tund corrected. "But we didn't. We're here, we're alive, we survived the storm." He held out the ring. "The question is, do we still want to get married?" Kemi looked at the ring, then at his face. This was the man who loved her enough to record messages for her from beyond the grave, who protected her honor even when facing death, who forgave her doubt without making her beg. But before she could answer, she heard something that changed everything. "There's one more message," Tund said quietly. "I recorded it during the worst part of the turbulence after you stopped talking to me." Kemi's stomach dropped. "What does it say?" "I don't know. I haven't listened to it yet." He pulled up the recording. It was time-stamped from 30 minutes ago, when she was still angry, when she still thought he was betraying her. "Maybe we should listen to it together," he suggested. She nodded, though she was scared, scared of what she might hear, scared of how wrong she had been. He pressed play. The sound of the plane's engines and passenger screams filled the background. Then his voice, broken and desperate. "Kemi, I know you hate me right now. I know you think I betrayed you. I don't know if we're going to survive this flight, but I need you to know something." Kemi held her breath. "Even if you never forgive me, even if you never speak to me again, even if you think I'm the worst man alive, I will love you with my last breath. You are the only woman I have ever loved. You are the only woman I will ever love." The recorded voice paused as the plane hit more turbulence. "I don't know what I did to make you think I would cheat on you, but whatever it was, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for every moment I made you doubt my heart. I'm sorry for every night I came home late from work. I'm sorry for every time I didn't tell you how beautiful you are." Kemi was sobbing now, full, ugly tears that came from the deepest part of her heart. "If we die today, please forgive me. If we live, please give me a chance to prove that you are my everything." The message ended. Kemi took the ring from Tun's hand, but instead of putting it on her finger, she handed it back to him. His face fell. "I understand if you can't euros." "No," she interrupted. "I want you to propose to me again, right here, right now, but this time I want to say yes with my whole heart, not just my head." Tun's eyes widened. Around them, travelers were rushing to catch flights focused on their own destinations, but time stopped for them. He got down on one knee right there in the airport waiting area. A few people stopped to watch, smiling at the unexpected romance. "Kemi Adebyo," he said, his voice steady now. "We almost died today, but God kept us alive for a reason. I think that reason is love. Will you marry me? Will you trust me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that you are my only one?" "Yes," she said without hesitation. "Yes to marrying you, yes to trusting you, yes to forever with you." He slipped the ring back onto her finger. It fit perfectly, just like their love. As he stood up, she kissed him, not a gentle kiss. A fierce, desperate, grateful kiss that tasted like second chances and new beginnings. The people watching them started clapping. An old woman shouted, "Love always wins." When they finally pulled apart, Kemi whispered, "I'm sorry I doubted you. I promise I'll never do it again." "We're human," Tun said. "We'll make mistakes, but we'll face them together." They walked toward the exit hand in hand. Outside, Lagos waited for them with all its noise and traffic and chaos, but they weren't afraid anymore. The moral of this story is simple. Love without trust is like a bird without wings, it cannot soar. But when two hearts choose to trust even in the storm, their love becomes stronger than death itself. But as they stepped outside into the warm Lagos evening, Kemi heard something that made her smile. Tun's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at the screen and saw it was from his mother. "Did you propose again yet? I told you that girl is a keeper." Kemi laughed out loud. "Your mother knew you were going to propose again?" Tun grinned sheepishly. "I may have called her from the plane bathroom before takeoff. You know how mothers are about love stories. Some stories end with death, others end with love, but the best stories end with love that survives."